In my comments, since the governor's declaration identifying the spread of the COVID-19 as a threat in our community, the administration has taken various actions to ensure that employees are safe and public services continue as best as possible. To this extent, while City Hall is closed to the public, staff continues to be available to assist the general public with all facets of government, including but not limited to administrative and emergency services. Staffing levels will remain at high levels. There will be delays in certain areas, and we ask for your patience as we work through this challenging environment. I'm going to list actions that we have taken to ensure continuity of services. First, staffing levels within City Hall have been, and throughout the city, have been divided into two different shifts. This is not only to segregate our staffing in case an infection does occur with any member, and we have to then displace that shift or that portion of the shift. But this also allows us to continue services to the community at large. We are decreasing staff-to-staff interaction and promoting conference technology to conduct meetings. Internally, our HR staff has issued several protocols, both that have been published internally for operations and also those that we have adopted that are through federal legislation. These include, but are not limited to, infectious disease policies, COVID-19 exposure guidelines, recent FMLA changes. We provided training to supervisors on updates on HIPAA, ADA, and including FMLA. We've instructed our workforce on how to stop the spread of germs using common sense and just current methods. We've instituted work from home protocols and including workers' compensation protocols. All of these items, Mayor and City Council, are constantly changing, but our team internally is ensuring that we're communicating as best as possible to our employee workforce in real time. We're limiting our employee exposure to the general public except for following strict social distancing measures. All departments have implemented various levels of protocols, and information regarding impacted services can be found on the City of Easton's website. We have enacted our emergency preparedness plan protocols. This includes establishing an emergency management coordinator, and that coordinator acts as the liaison between the county, state, and federal government. That coordinator, Mayor and City Council, as you know, is Deputy Chief Henry Hennings. To that extent, we've been mobilizing the internal team to prepare in the event that we have to enact an emergency operations center. And to that extent, we're looking at an org chart when the traditional roles of city government are compromised and we have to move into an EEOC. We are reviewing the COVID-19 economic impact on the city's budget. As you had mentioned, Mayor, in your speech, Finance has been conducting budgetary stress tests. On those stress tests right now, we're modeling out what a 5% reduction in revenue would look like. And at the same time, we're looking at those expenses that we can control. To that extent, I will announce, and I've briefed you already on these measures, as well as members of council, that we are immediately implementing a reduction in spending. So this will include right now all vacant positions, but right now will be put on hold except for emergency services. I do want to announce that about 2 weeks ago now, 2 Saturdays ago, the chief of police had asked myself and yourself, Mayor, on whether or not we should conduct the training for the 5 vacant positions in the police department. And this portion of the training was the agility testing portion. We instructed the chief that because emergency services is a priority and filling those vacancies is equal to that priority, we've instructed him to take the necessary measures to ensure that staff stays safe while the testing continues. So I do want to inform council that testing and the public that testing continued, and we did receive a good amount of applicants on that day, about 90 or so individuals. So that's a positive sign for us. But as I had mentioned,
And we divide them into 2 groups.
And we divided
That
them.
time was we could have up to 50 and 45 each.
That's correct, Mayor. So, but to that extent, that's the only hiring that we're looking to fill at this point in time. All other positions, all other vacant positions that are open now, that we plan to fill throughout the year, we did that during the budgetary process. I've instructed the teams to put that on hold until further notice. We're also looking at large construction projects. One example is road reconstruction. Fortunately, Council this year approved a budget that 50% of the road reconstruction expenses was in the operation fund. The other 50% was in liquid fuels. So we've put a hold, in working with the director of DPW, put a hold on about $170,000 worth of road reconstruction projects. That's a hold as we continue to monitor this economic impact on a week-to-week basis and a 30 to 60-day basis, if not 90-day basis. We are also going to continue to look at additional cuts where possible, and to that extent, we're working with department heads to model out what this potential impact could be, as I had mentioned earlier. With finance, we're conducting a sensitivity modeling where we'll look at anywhere from 5%, as I said, as a threshold, and up reduction in revenues. The administration has been and will continue to collaborate with the city's union leadership. I've been happy with the openness of the union. They've been available when we needed to make some actions, and in particular, I do want to commend the AFSCME union and their leadership for acting fast on some measures that we had to take last week in order to change the workforce schedules. We're going to continue to plan and mobilize the workforce to be fully operational from home in the case of more restricted COVID-19 enforcement measures come down by the state or the federal government. We're conducting daily management team meetings to discuss ever-changing dynamics of the impact on the city's workforce and public services. Weekly communication meetings with other cities is being conducted by myself and the finance director, and these other cities include Bethlehem, Reading, Lancaster, York, and Harrisburg to discuss best practices, and we're sharing experiences during this crisis. The mayor and myself held a Q&A sessions with the entire workforce. We did it twice this week, and we were able to have a one-on-one consultative dialogue with the workforce, which the workforce asked us questions. We also reviewed these same measures with them. The city will continue to post on the website and send out a municipal newsletter with updates to city operations infected by the COVID-19 virus. At the moment, this is a very fluid and is changing on a daily and weekly basis. Mayor, to that extent, I do want to notify yourself that at the most recent email blast, we sent it out to, I believe, 4,000 to 5,000 individuals that we have on our list. Those emails come from, for example, when residents are utilizing our utility billing online services. They have the ability to submit an email. We collected those emails and we're using that as a distribution list. I do want to tell you that it was a 66% open rate, so we're able to communicate in one way or another, just changes that are occurring. You had provided in your opening remarks a list of impacted services. They are too long here to mention, but we will be putting those services again on our website, and we'll be sending them out via the municipal newsletter, and we'll be keeping that updated as frequently as possible. And lastly, before I conclude here, I do want to mention, as you had stated in your remarks, that the economic development team is working with various local and state agencies to assist businesses in obtaining resources to assist with this economic impact. At the moment, officials at all levels are identifying how these resources will be deployed. And as updates are provided, the administration will communicate accordingly to council and the community. Mayor, I want to thank you for your leadership. I want to thank you not only for your leadership, but also for council's leadership on moving quickly on some of these measures, so the administration can ensure that we're maintaining our services. We're being mindful of not only our residents, but also our employees, who are right now our assets to keeping the business of city government up and running. We're very, very sensitive to our employees. Our employees are impacted similarly, just like everyone else. Their home lives are completely disrupted. We're doing the best that we can as we can work with them. And to that extent, I do want to tell you that the employees understand that their presence here do contribute to the stability of our community and to making sure that we have a continued safe and effective operating government. Thank you, Mayor, for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Campos.